You guys, we got a chance to speak to Emma Sullivan. She's one of the directors on Netflix's brand new live action adaptation of One Piece. Check it out.
So, Emma, there is no running away from the fact that live action adaptations of animes have been absolutely horrible on the whole. But One Piece is the first thing I've seen in a long time that hasn't had me cringing or screaming at the screen. So, thank you very much.
Oh, very good, very good. That's the first question. Okay, good, excellent. I'm glad we didn't make you cringe or scream.
So, my first question is,
Yeah.
what did you guys do differently? You're sitting in that room. What's on the whiteboard that says, let's not make that mistake again?
I think it's probably we'd have to give credit to Matt Owens and Steve Mader because they're just huge, huge One Piece fans. So I think the way they've cast it, the way they've found everybody, and their just attention to detail and love of it. You don't want to upset them. They're nice guys as well. They're really nice guys. You could make them really sad if you did it wrong. Plus, the cast are amazing, aren't they?
Yes.
So they're so like their characters and they're so full of heart and they're really nice people. So we got our found family is that cast, and it's also the cruise in South Africa. So I think that's how we did it.
Well, that said, there are some iconic shots from the anime that you do keep and that seem to translate really well. And I was wondering what that decision process was like. I mean, in your conversations with the writers and the showrunners, how did you decide what would work? Because so many times when they do a scene for scene translation or a line for line adaptation, something just doesn't land.
Yeah. You can't take the anime and do just make it into live action. It won't work with the actors. For me, I think going back to the manga, that's where I started. I always just look at Oda's drawings and the swagger that they have. And actually, even the way that you go from one frame to the next, it's very like storyboarding and it's very like live action. You can't put in all those frames, but
Right.
you can really get a flavor of them to inspire you. And there are certain frames that I won't reference, so I don't want spoilers, but there are certain kind of frames that you just think, that's going to look great on camera, and we'll keep that. And other ones, it's an adaptation, obviously, but go back to the manga first.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the cleverest things about this adaptation, in that it feels like an adaptation. Like the original exists, the manga exists, the anime exists. You can watch all of those things or read those and get something completely different. And then this feels like a fresh introduction to someone who knows nothing about the series.
Hopefully, yes.
Was that the driving philosophy?
I mean, I think we want to keep the fans happy because there are so many millions of them.
That must have been absolutely terrifying.
There is an element.
In which moment of insanity did you go, yes, let me do this for the most popular manga ever made?
I know. Do you know what? My son has read it all, and then I found out all my nephews have read it, and they all told me not to mess it up, but they didn't use the word mess. It's like I have threats.
You can curse on this; it's fine. We use bad language all the time, but yes, I get what you mean.
Yeah. They're like, don't fuck it up, mum. And there was no kindness in their eyes. They're like, you're directing One Piece, okay? So I know what side my bread's buttered on. I got to be careful.
Talk to me about the cast, because as I was watching the first episode, I texted my colleague, and the first thing I said to him was, the reason this works, and I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly, is because of Inaki.
Yeah.
There is this sense of optimism and delight that is believable, because it's so easy to trip into cheesy and corny, but I totally buy what he's selling.
He is like that. He's a great actor, not to take anything away from his acting. Great actor. But honestly, he is such a sunny disposition figure. And so impressive as well. A tough cookie. He's leading the ensemble at 18
Right.
years old. He's coming on that set every day. He's in almost every scene. We're chucking him in tanks. He's climbing. He's a skinny little 18-year-old, and yet he comes with all that vigor and bravery. He's wonderful.
Also, there is the camaraderie between the group. And I think that chemistry, I don't want to name any adaptations, but there have been quite a few where the chemistry just didn't land. And I think with these three, at least from the first few episodes that I've seen, they feel like a family almost immediately. What was it like getting that on set? Was it a natural chemistry? Was it script? Was it lots of table reads?
I think there's a natural chemistry actually with them. I think possibly that happened in the casting process that I wasn't involved in. But they are a very collaborative bunch of people. They want to do their best, and that doesn't always happen. You don't always get it. So there's an element of luck, and the sun shines on us. So they're a long way from home, shooting in South Africa, and
Yeah.
they're all working well together.
What was your biggest concern going into this, other than your kids and nephews and nieces going, you know?
Well, the biggest concern is to keep Oda-san happy. That's the most important thing. We want to make sure that Oda's happy with what we've done, to the point that there was a scene that we reshot because he didn't want the kendo masks on it, and it was better, and he was right, and then he was happy with it. So I think that's the most important thing. Keep Oda happy.
And that doesn't always happen, right? Because obviously, a lot of the time when a big studio buys the rights for something, often they invite the writer along on a set visit for one day and then forget about the guy. What was that like? What was that collaboration like?
Well, I didn't get to meet Oda himself because
Oh
it's all.
no.
No, I know, but I still want to. So if anybody wants to fly me to Japan, I'm free. That's my pitch. But yeah, so it would have been Matt and Steve. Yeah, so they're constantly chatting and talking. But Matt's been working on this for like nearly a decade. It's so dear to him that he would never want to upset Oda.
I have this theory, right? When it comes to the way we view certain things, and I think we switch our brains off and on whenever we put on different films or TV shows from different countries. And I think when I go into an anime or a Japanese movie, there's a certain level of expectation where the magical realism just kind of washes over me and I accept it. But when I see it in a Hollywood movie, sometimes it feels out of place. And I was wondering about the tone and bridging that gap, because I think you guys managed to pull off the absurd without it seeming out of place. Can you talk to me about that strange tone that you managed to kind of, I guess, bridge?
I mean, I think I have to give the writers credit because the tone is in the script. So what I am given, that it's already embedded there. But I know what you mean. I love Studio Ghibli, and there's a certain,
Right?
there is a charm. There's an incredible charm, and I always think it's not quite so black and white as kind of Western filmmaking. There's a more of gray areas, and there's nuance, and I think there's that in the manga as well. With One Piece, we have baddies, but the baddies are kind of troubled, and you kind of understand that their dreams have been thwarted, which is why they're doing bad things. I think Oda's a very generous writer. So I think you need to ground it. Maybe that's the answer to your question. Each character, even though they're fantastical and, charming and, zany, you also need to ground why they're behaving like they're behaving.
Yeah, there needs to be a relatability at some level, right? That we can hook on to, I think.
But then also you want to have like kick-ass fights that look amazing. And it's fine that people are jumping 2 stories high up in the air.
Oh, totally. Whenever I see Makanyu and his 3 swords, I'm like, hello, come on, let's go.
Absolutely. It's so good. It's so
It is
good.
very good. It is very good. I'm all out of time, but hey, thank you so much. And you know, the show's good. Let me tell you, I went into it incredibly apprehensive.
So pleased. I'm so pleased. Thank you. It is terrifying.
No, I can imagine. But I'll say this: I think there is another audience for this show, which is not just the One Piece fans. Like, as I was watching it, the first thought that came to my mind was there is a vacuum for swashbuckling Pirates of the Caribbean fans because people love those movies, and I think your show kind of fills that void. The music, the action, it kind of works. Yeah. So I'm hoping it brings in an audience that's not just anime and manga fans, which would be cool.
That would be good. That would be
very
good.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Emma. Cheers.
Thank you. This has been a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Pleasure. Bye.
All great fighters call out their finishing moves. No, they don't.
That was Emma Sullivan. She is one of the directors of Netflix's live-action adaptation of One Piece. Don't forget to check it out and let us know what you think. Thank you so much for watching.